Yeah, I told you a story about my retirement. Anyways, I left 30 November of 90. And oh geez, what was it? About the 4th of December, I think it was. The ex, Pam, and the kids were home. I was retarded now. I took the weekend just to kick back and do nothing for 2 or 3 days, just to get the feel of home life again. Then I started getting bored. Pam had 8 years working over at K Mart. I knew most of the employees. Betty worked in jewelry. There was another Betty that was a personnel manager. So I decided, why not? I need a job. So I went to K Mart, made out an application, and got hired. And there wasn't much training because, that's the way things go. And I spent about 6 hours on the cash register. I didn't find that thrilling at all. And because I was a male, I could move boxes. So they had me back in the warehouse moving boxes for a few days. And then Betty from jewelry talked to the Betty in personnel, and I started working behind the jewelry counter. And my hours were pretty simple, 3 to I think the store closed like 10 o'clock at night. But yeah, I worked the jewelry department. I restocked what they sold during the day, and for the rest of the evening after my supper break, I'd be behind the counter, dusting this, dusting that, taking care of customers. We had photographs. You could bring in your film and get it developed, get little stubs, come back in 3 days, I think it was, and pick up your photos. Well, I was under a 10-day training thing where management had to watch me for 10 days. Now this is about day 7, and this lady came in. Put it bluntly, she was probably 5 or 6 years older than my mom. In other words, she was like 25, 30 years older than me. So you're talking an elderly woman. She had 5 ticket stubs for photos. Well, 2 of them came in. That left 3. Well, I handed her the 2 that came in and the 3 stubs. This woman started yelling at me. If 2 of them were there, you didn't find the other 3. The other 3 are in there. And she was just creating havoc. Well, I stepped back a couple of steps and folded my hands like this and looked at her, and she finally took a breath, and I looked at her and I went, "Ma'am, if you're going to yell at me anymore, can you at least kiss me first?" That lady looked at me and went, "It's not your fault, is it, young man?" I said, "No, ma'am. I gave you what they gave the store. And come back in a day or so, and I'll be more than glad to give you the other 3 photo things." Well, she turned around and thanked me, and she asked if she could pay for it up front because she had other. Yes, ma'am, no problem. So she walked off. Well, I was called by one of the managements. Well, he invited me back to the restaurant, which was closed. And he counseled me and told me that he was going to write me up for that. And I said, okay. You know. He did not ask me why I said what I said. He did not ask me nothing. All he did was chastise me and say that he was going to write me up, so I told him to do it. You know, what do I care? Well, anyways, I went into work the next night. I had to be there at 3, and I got there about 2:30. And I'm sitting in the break room, because you're allowed to have cigarettes in the break room. So I went in, had a cup of coffee and a cigarette. At that time, I was still drinking coffee 24/7. Well, Betty from personnel saw me as I walked in. She came into the break room, and she looked at me and she goes, "Gene, when you get on the clock, we need to talk." And I looked at her and I went, "We can talk right now because I got an idea. I know what it's about." And she looked at me and she goes, "About that incident last night." And I said, Yeah, he told me he was going to write me up." And Betty goes, "Did you actually fold your arms and look at a customer and say, 'Kiss me first'?" And I went, "No, actually, I said a little bit more than that. I told her that if she's going to yell at me anymore, the least she could do is kiss me first." Gene, Betty, it calmed the situation. "Well, my mother told me what you said." And I looked at Betty and I went, "Your mother?" Yes, that was my mother. And Gene, I think you got a sense of humor that I think you turned my mother on. I looked at Betty and I went, "Does that mean your mom's going to kiss me when she comes in and gets the film?" "Gene, I'm supposed to call her and let her know that you're working tonight, because I didn't know what your schedule was." "Well, tell her I'm working, and if she wants a good old lip lock, I'll give her one. You know, it don't matter to me." Well, Betty told me that she'd call her, but be nice when she comes in. I was nice last night, Betty. Yeah, I know, that's what my mother said. But you put her in her place last night, and you did it like nobody else could. Well, calmed her down. That's all I gotta say. Customer was happy. So, big deal. Well, later that night, about 7:30, Betty came in with her mother back to jewelry. And the other 3 packages came in, and I gave it to her. And I looked at her, and Betty looked at me and goes, "Don't you dare." "Betty, I wasn't going to do nothing. I wasn't talking to you. I was talking to my mother." Mother and I looked at each other, and I went, "You really want that kiss, don't you?" And she goes, "Yeah." So I went around the counter and gave her a big fucking kiss. And Betty was... it was funny. Well, about 2 months after that, K Mart had cut hours, and I was cut to like 8 hours a week. So I went into personnel, and I told Betty, I says, I can't live like this. I need something at least 38 hours a week just to occupy my time off, you know. I'm not used to not working. So I'm going to find a different job. Well, I found the other job. And, yeah, I was given 48 hours a week. So that kind of made me happy, but I had to go to Hilton Head in order to work. And then I got transferred to the hospital, and well, I spent 7, 8, 9 years at the hospital. And when I left after the downfall of the economy, 2008, I got to Knoxville, Tennessee. And I told you the story about that. I ended up being a doorman at Walmart, which was interesting. And when that job petered out, I decided to just hit the road. Knapsack, you know, just hit the road. Called a friend of mine in Rock Hill. He came over and got me in Knoxville, and took me back to Rock Hill. And from Rock Hill, I went down to Savannah, Georgia. Went out and saw Fort Pulaski and the beach, and decided to head west on Highway 20. Well, I had to go to Atlanta, Charles Stanley's church. It took me 4 or 5 weeks to make it from Savannah, Georgia to Atlanta, Georgia, because I was just having fun. I was just knapsack, tent, you know, just having a ball. I ate at gas stations, sandwiches, that kind of crap. The weather was interesting. It rained for a couple of days, and then it'd clear up. And, you know, I'd do 10, 15 miles a day. You know, just carefree. Well, when I got to Atlanta, Georgia, and went to Charles Stanley's church, stayed there about an hour. Naturally, I didn't feel Chuck at all. You know, just nothing. I think that's only going to happen at Hillcrest. But anyways, I found out that Atlanta is too large. So I started on Highway 20, staying at on-ramps. Hitchhiking is allowed on the East Coast. So I'm walking down Highway 20, and I got picked up by a car or picked up by a van. Some family picked me up in one of those Winnebago things, which was pretty plush, really. And I ended up, I can't even think of the place now, in Mississippi. But I spent 8 or 9 days at this one entrance, because I found out that you're not allowed on the highway in Mississippi, but you're allowed on the on-ramp hitchhiking. But you can't have your thumb out. You just stand on the on-ramp, and if somebody wants to give you a ride, they'll stop and give you a ride. Well, I spent about 8 days at this one entrance. Egg salad sandwiches for breakfast. Lunch, I mean, it was egg salad sandwiches. Now, about the 8th day, this lady pulled off. There was a child in the back seat. She was probably about 5 years old. And the lady told me that she's been watching me and going past me for the last 4 or 5 days. And she asked me what I was doing. And I told her I'm just headed west. You know, just heading down Highway 20. When I get to California, I'll go up to 40 and head back this way. You know, just want to see the country. And she popped up and she goes, well, I don't usually pick up hitchhikers. Well, I came right out and I asked her, I says, well, I don't know if I'm going to feel safe with you or not. You know, geez, you could rape me. She busted into laughter. Told me to put my stuff in the back seat, sit in the front seat, and she'd take me to a better intersection. Well, I got in the front seat, we took off. Well, we were probably about 25, 30 miles down the road, past a couple intersections, or off-ramps and on-ramps, you know, that kind of crap. And she goes, well, this next one is the one I'm supposed to get off at, and I'm going to take you to the next one. And I said, really? And she goes, yep. Yeah, and you're going to be about 20 miles this side of, 20 miles inside of Mississippi. But at least you'll have your choice of about 8 or 9 restaurants to eat at. Oh, really? Boy, that's sure going to beat those egg salad sandwiches. Well, I did not realize that the ramp that she was going to take off, 40 miles, in other words 80 miles out of her way, because she had to go, drop me off, get back on, and go back 40 miles. Well, I kept asking her, well, where's this next stop at? Oh, we got a ways to go yet. How much is a ways? 40 miles. You're going for... Well, when she dropped me off, there was a gas station there. I told her to pull in the gas station. I filled up her gas tank. You know, just for getting me away from those egg salad sandwiches. Put me in a place where I could get a couple decent meals. There was a wooded area down this side road. So I decided, well, if I go down there, I could pitch my tent in that wooded area and stay here and hit all these different restaurants. So that's what I did. I spent about 5 days there. Didn't bother hitting the road at all. Now, morning of the 6th day, I decided to hit the road. And a trucker picked me up. And a trucker got me to about 90% through Texas. So I did pretty good. I did pretty good. But then in Texas, I found out by having coffee, and I was sitting outside because I was like 20 feet away from an on-ramp out in the middle of nowheres, because Texas, middle of nowheres. This cop came up to me, got out of the car and asked me if that was my stuff. And I looked at him and I said, yeah. And he goes, so you're hitchhiking? And I says, well, I'm sitting in the on-ramp. Well, you're in Texas, and if you do that and you're seen, we're going to arrest you for vagrancy. Huh. By the way, how much money you got on you? I got money. I'm not worried about that. Didn't ask you that, sir. How much money you got on you? Well, there was a little bit of consultation. This other cop showed up, and he got me out of hot water with the first cop. Because they went inside and talked to one of the waitress. I'd give the waitress a couple $1 tip, plus pay for my meal. Well, the one cop told the other cop to leave, that he'd take care of me. So the other cop just told me the facts of life. He said there's a bank about 10 miles down the road, and there's a bus stop about 3 blocks away from the bank. So when you leave here, if you head that way, you won't get hassled. But if you head towards the highway, you're probably going to end up getting arrested for hitchhiking, which means 6 days in jail and about $1,000 fine. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. Well, I went in, got another cup of coffee, and I'm sitting on the step outside, drinking my coffee, had another cigarette. And it was still dark out. It was dark. I mean, it was probably 5 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, something like that. It was dark out. Well, anyways, I got up and walked the parking lot out to the main street. And I started looking down the road that went on forever, because Texas is like that, just flat. And this road went as far as I could see, with no buildings on either side of the road, just pastures. And then I looked up to my right, and there's the signs and traffic. I could hear the traffic and cars going on the highway, cars coming off the highway. Well, as I was looking up towards the interstate, peripheral vision, I seen a light flash on the other side. Cop turned on and off his overhead light and made him blink, like they do, you know. Oh, jeez. So I started walking down the never-ending road. Well, it was the second cop. What he did was started his car, drove through the I can't think if it was an IHOP or a banana place or some kind of breakfast. It wasn't the Huddle House. It was some other kind of restaurant. But he drove through the parking lot, got on the side street, came up beside me and rolled his window down. And he goes, well, I see you decided to go to the bank and the bus stop. And I looked at him and I says, I don't have much of a choice. I got $3 in my pocket. I got to hit the ATM machine. So he popped up and he goes, well, put your stuff in the back seat and I'll give you a ride. So I put my stuff in the back seat, got in the front seat. He gave me a ride to the bank. And going to the bank, he told me that he isn't supposed to do this kind of stuff, but he understood talking to me that I was a pretty normal guy, so he thought he'd just help me out a little bit. So I went to the ATM, got $100 out. He took me over to the bus station, and I bought a bus ticket to Oklahoma. Figured if I go up to Oklahoma, maybe I can hitchhike. Yeah, I get off in Oklahoma and find out that they got the same rules. So I remember a cousin I had in Reno, Nevada. So I called home and Mom gave me his number, so I called my cousin up in Reno and I took a bus to Reno. Stayed with my cousin for about 4 months and delivered a newspaper up in the Lake Tahoe area. And winter set in. I'm not happy with snow and ice and sleet and hail and all that other coldness, so you know, I'm going to Yuma. So I left up there, came down here to Yuma. That was about 9 years ago. So anyway, I just thought I'd throw this out. Anyway, Have a good night. God bless. Bye-bye.